Good.
Save the best for last.
That's right. Yeah, I appreciate that.
So,
Thank you.
Lamar, when we spoke to him last week, he said that he does feel like his game can go to another level.
Right.
In your mind, what is the next level of Lamar?
The next level is just taking the things that um, he's already improved in and continuing to improve in those areas, but also consistently doing them every day, every rep, right? And that's what you're chasing is finding the areas that you can improve in. Okay, we've identified these areas. Let's attack it. Okay, we've improved. Now let's make that even better, and let's do it every day. And so I think you could take any part of his game and say there's area to improve, and at least I'm going to say that as a coach, right? But in his mind, he took a long time during the offseason to think about how he was going to come back and approach it. And mentally, he's in a different place. You know, his third year in the system. He's playing with a lot of the same players. Derek is back, and the center, Tyler, is back. You know, having the communication of the guys who he has to communicate with the most, Bateman, Zay, all the guys, Mark, you know, it's time to take not only himself to the next level, but the whole unit. And so we're seeing that early on in training camp. Got a ways to go, but early on, I'm pretty pleased with the direction we're headed in as far as all of those things we just discussed.
What kind of impact do you see that DeAndre Hopkins
Yeah.
is making on Lamar?
They made a play yesterday down in red zone 7-on-7 where Lamar and Nuke just kind of said what they were going to do, and it didn't go right, and Lamar just stuck with them, and it ended up being a touchdown. And you usually don't see that kind of trust with a new face this early in training camp. And so I think DeAndre has a history of making quarterbacks feel good because the outcome has been good most of the time. You know, he makes plays. It may not be the way you may have coached it, but at the end of the day, the result is what you want, and it's touchdowns and first downs. And so early on, I see Lamar really forcing the issue of really trying to develop that relationship of trust with him, particularly versus man-to-man, fade routes, go routes, things of that nature. And those type routes will set up the other things that we want to do with him.
Steve, what I guess obligations or responsibilities does a quarterback have when this team, a team like this, has so many skill position players, and any one of them could credibly be the best, the
Right.
number one target getter in any game. There's egos to manage, like there is in the locker room. I guess
Right.
what kind of falls to the quarterback in a situation like that?
I think this is when leadership is tested. You know, it's who you are as a man yourself first, because regardless of who those faces are, who those people are, and their talent and skill levels, they still look to you to be their leader. And they not only listen to you, they look at how you go about your work and how you go about your business. So number one, first and foremost, is his professionalism and how he prepares and how seriously he practices and how hard he goes at practice. He sets the tone, he sets the tempo, he leads by example. I think that's first. And then secondly, everyone having this shared understanding that we're all here to win. You know, one game, Zay may have more receiving yards than Rashad, or Derek may run the ball 30 times and we win running the game. It all depends on how Lamar presents to everyone that at the end of the day, we're here to win. And I don't care how we do it. You know, I can throw it 40 times a game and win. We can run it 40 times and win. I think ultimately for him, what's being tested is the leadership. When you do have, like you said, a room full of excellent skilled players and a running back that can also carry the load as well.
Cooper Rush, he's learning the offense.
Mhm.
Improvisation.
Right.
How has your experience with the wide receiver group helped you guys maybe prepare them for when he does that?
Yeah, that's funny. We were actually talking about that, earlier today, just about how receivers think. And sometimes we see things from this viewpoint as a quarterback, but they see other things. And I think the more and more we practice it, we spend a lot of time practicing scramble drill. That was something that Coach Munkin, made a huge point in 23, 24. We're going to continue to do that this year of finding space for Lamar. Lamar, when he's moving, can still make throws 50 yards down the field. And so you're never not open. All he's looking for is separation and to fill a void to where he can get a completion. And so, to your point, just spending time with him and practicing things that don't always come up in practice but show up in games, trying to create that environment where we can get those results.
Along those lines,
You were, yeah,
Cooper
sorry.
Rush, he's
Yes.
learning the offense. What have you seen from him thus far?
Man, I'm so pleased with Cooper, just a professional. Had taken every rep for the most part, was here every day during the offseason. student of the game, came in, new system, picked it up from a protection standpoint, the audibles, the checks, progressions in our passing game. A little different world than where he came from, but a lot of things carry over from a schematic standpoint. We do things just a little bit differently, and he loves it. You know, he has good comments during meetings, good ideas where he's adding things to what we already do. And like having him around. It's good for the room. He and Lamar have a great relationship, and he's fun to be around.
Now, with the amount of improvisation Lamar does, how much do you have to work with, say, the offensive line coaches or with Todd, or whatever it might be, to have different rules for the offensive linemen in terms of their release downfield?
Right. We talk about having a two-play quarterback. You know, that's something that we say all the time, that they have to strain to finish, and that play may be extended. You know, that is what makes him who he is. One of the things that makes him who he is the fact that if it's on time, if the progression presents itself to get the ball out on time, he's going to do that, and he's one of the best at it. But when the defense does a good job of covering down and matching up routes, he's one of the best, if not the best, at extending plays. And so we practice that, you know, not only just the wide receivers, but we practice it with the O-linemen. You know, you have a quarterback that can be in a lot of places in the pocket, and as a tackle, that can be tough. And so, but we just talked to them about straining the finish, not holding. If you feel the D lineman pull away, just let him go. You know, by that time, Lamar's probably gone anyway. And so, but we talk about having a two-play quarterback, and in the quarterback room, we talk about being two-play quarterbacks. And so, it all works together.
We tend to talk about these practices in terms of, is the offense sharp or is it not sharp?
Yeah.
And, you know, you hear a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But do you find that, I mean, like, can Lamar get as much out of a practice when the offense isn't clicking as one where it is?
Yeah. I'll tell you what's beautiful right now is our defense is playing really good. You know, I don't want to jump the gun, but they're playing really good. And they really improve personnel-wise, schematically. It's another year in it. And they're kind of kept picking up where they left off towards the end of the season on defense. And it's good for us because we were able to exploit some things early on last year that's not being exploited right now. So the diamonds are in the detail, and they're forcing us to be very, very detailed in everything that we do. And so you're going to have that. Championship teams, one side of the ball doesn't always win. You know, it's some back and forth, right? And then there's some button heads, there's some good days and bad days for both sides. And you want to see that, especially in training camp. I like where we are as a team, but we like getting the looks that we're getting from our defense. They're challenging us. We're on install 6 already, and about 90% of our offense is already in, which is an aggressive approach. But we'll put another coat of paint on it, you know, next week, and then we'll start playing some games to see what we have.
Monk mentioned how Lamar has really improved as far as the last 2 years under him. What he has seen is he's really improved in how he has seen the field.
Right.
I mean, you've been with him longer.
Yeah.
How have you seen him? I think he's always really had good vision.
No question.
But where do you think he's even improved in that?
Yeah, I think he's always had natural, great field vision. Like Lamar can not only see things, but he can make calculations at a rate that's almost inhuman, right? But now he's putting his eyes in the right places and seeing the right things. I think that's kind of how I can wrap that up, right? It's what are you seeing and why? You know, why did you start here? You know, what did you see in that pressure that made you move the protection over there? What did you see in the run game that made you check that play? So I think he's always seen things well. He's always had great feedback and information on the sideline during games. And sometimes he sees stuff that we don't see until the next day when you're watching tape. You're like, how do you see that? And so, but he's gifted in that regard. Right now, I think with the experience in this system and how we do things and how people are going to work to defend him, you know, having his eyes in the right places for the right reasons is where he's grown and where he's doing a really good job right now.
Curious, Lamar going into his 8th season, we see him running out there. Does he look just as fast, if not faster than ever?
Yeah.
And second question, do you guys coach him with his running at all, or it's like he's just gifted that way? There's not much I could say.
I think Miss Felicia and his father got a lot to do with that, man. You know, but no, he's in great shape. You know, he came in at a great weight, which he last year decided that this is where I want to play. He has his own workout regimen that he does during the offseason. All I can tell you is he is flying. You know, he took off yesterday in 2-minute drill. I don't know if he got touched, you know, and did a front flip in the end zone and all that kind of stuff. But, no, he's running really well, and I can really see it in his foot quickness, you know, in all of our footwork drills that we're doing in the quarterback room. His escapability in the pocket, you know, they can't tackle him, but they're still not they're still having a hard time touching him too. So, but I like where he's at. To go the long haul, we know is all the way to February. The mental conditioning, the physical conditioning that it takes to get to the Super Bowl, I think that's what's on his mind, and he's looking really good.
T, how is Cooper Rush settling into the offense,
Yep.
and what are you seeing out of Devin Leary from year
Yeah.
one to year two?
Coop has been great. Be a solid backup for us. You know, veteran, won some games last year. A lot of positive reps during the offseason, so I like where Coop is. And I like Devin's development. Devin is doing a really good job. Arm talent is not the question. He can throw it with the best of them in this league. He has an excellent arm. But when you're an inexperienced quarterback and you're seeing a lot from the other side of the ball, you can be baited into turnovers and things of that nature. I think where he's improved is really taking care of the football and making good decisions underneath when the explosive play is not presented. And that's the type of growth that I want to see, that we want to see as an offensive staff, because arm talent is not the question with him. It's about taking care of the football, moving the football, getting the ball in the end zone, and making great decisions. And he's on a good track right now.
Good.
One more? Yeah.
When you guys go from 11s to 7s, does the emphasis for the quarterback change at all?
From 11 to 7, explain that to me again.
When you go from 11-11 to 7-7.
Oh, you're talking about 7 on 7, 11 on. I'll say this: team is real football, in my opinion. Like when you're good on good, that's football, right? The protections, the pressures, all of that. 7 on 7 is more of we've installed these routes. This is why you're working this way, and let's make sure that we have the discipline to do the right thing, right? We talked about it versus cover 2. We talked about it versus man. You got cover 2. Did you do the right thing or not, right? And that's kind of like a ramping to 11 on 11. You know, you walk through it, doing our walkthrough practices. You kind of get individual drills to work on those routes. You do 7 on 7 to kind of put schematically the timing together and where people are going to be. And then now you play real football against the team. So to me, ultimately, you can't do enough 11 on 11. You can't do enough team ball. But there's a place for 7 on 7. It's more about time and precision and seeing where people are so that when you do go team, you know where the guys are on time and things of that nature. But I value it. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, you got it. No problem. Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
16 rushing touchdowns at Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. I tried.
Always one more.